Hello, greetings, friends and fam. It is I, Lord Wolfshield, and we are back with another episode of the KINØ, a just kind of a cozy hangout where we get to just kind of hang out and chill and vibe with each other and do a little movie review, and yeah, and also kind of uh, talk a little bit about my film project as well. Get the chance to keep my audience updated on some of the latest updates with that, but also to help build up the artistic sphere. That's kind of my main three goals with this show. But anyway, let me introduce you to our awesome panel today. So we have with us, well, let's see, who should I start with? I'll start with Jenny. How are we doing,
Hi.
Jenny?
Oh, I'm good. Glad to be here again. Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining. And thank you for waiting to like literally the last second to brush your hair for a stream where you don't even have your camera on.
I was
Camera on.
outside with the child, and there was
Your,
a big knot.
your hair looks fabulous, by the way. So you're all
Yes, it looks
Thank you.
wonderful.
yeah.
All right. And then also we have with us Donald Kent. I kind of asked him last minute to join us because he commented that this was one of his all-time favorite movies. So I figured might as well have him join.
Thank you so much. Very happy to be here. I'm excited to get into it.
Thank you, thank you. And Rebecca, thank you for joining us again as well.
Glad to be here.
How are you doing today?
Doing good. Had a little bit of craziness at the last minute trying to get sandwiches going with kids so they were occupied and not too loud in the background.
Very nice. And we have with us the guest of honor, Mary Anna, aka the Witch Mother.
Hello. Thank you
Hello,
for
hello.
having me.
Yes, thank you for joining. Yeah, so I wanted to kind of before we get into the actual review, I wanted to kind of go over like just a little bit of news, I guess, from the spheres. Just kind of okay. So talking about like my film, I just kind of wanted to update that. Yes, I'm. I got this film that I'm working on called Once Upon a Time in Minnesota, and currently fundraising for it. Let's see here. It's going to be my most ambitious. Hold on a second. I lost my. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be like the script is currently like 55 pages long, so it'll be about an hour. And since the last show, there was a bit of a kerfuffle. I had two of my lead actors drop out on me very unexpectedly. I was not expecting that at all. But I was able to shift things around, and now Jenny will be the new lead actress in my next film.
Yay.
Go, Jenny.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think she'll do quite well with that. And so, like I said, we are currently fundraising. I am currently at $1,200 of a $10,000 goal. If you would like to donate, the Odyssey channel is monetized, so you can send super chats there. But also, if you go into the description box, you can check out all my links, and there's a Cash App, and there's a buy me coffee, and different ways to donate if you would like to. Another thing that I would like to do, I was thinking about in terms of fundraising, would be to auction off the mask from my previous film, Baby Teeth. It I don't know exactly how much interest there is. I put up a poll and there wasn't like a great deal of
It's
interest.
very cool, though. It's such a cool looking mask.
Yeah. So there's
It's
so I was
super cool.
I was
Yes.
thinking about possibly auctioning it off of eBay or whatever. But also somebody mentioned something about maybe doing like a raffle.
Mm.
Like you donate $10 and your name gets put into a raffle or whatever. I'm just kind of trying to judge what sort of interest there is or what might be the best way to go about that. Because I don't really necessarily want to part with it like for like $30 or whatever. It's I spent over $200 on the mask itself.
Right.
But it's also just kind of a cool prop from a movie I'm very proud of that I made, and I don't necessarily want to part with it if it's not gonna really kind of help go towards my next film. But anyway, if you're, I don't know, just kind of want to test the interest for that. So anyway, some other news. Jenny started up a Telegram channel.
Thank you. Yes.
Love it.
Yeah, why
Thank you.
don't you talk a little bit about this?
Oh, I don't know. I just like to draw cats.
And embroider cats?
Yeah. I do more than that, but it's just very satisfying to draw dopey little cats that say stupid things.
Destroy your enemies. I like this cat.
Thank you.
It's like a cat,
It's like a what cat?
Conan, the barbarian,
Right.
Destroy your enemies, watch their women lamenting, warrior type mentality.
And you can find the link to her new channel in the description box as well as the links to Witch Mother and Rebecca's channel, Higher Ideals, one of my all-time favorite channels on Telegram. All right, and
Thank you for sharing it.
yes, of course. All right, and then I figure we could kind of I'd like to just kind of get to know Mariana a little bit, because she's got this cool Telegram channel where she makes all this cool handicraft, as she calls it, and just figured this could be like an opportunity to kind of do a little bit of an interview and get to know you a little bit.
All right, sounds good.
So I got like a few things of yours up on the screen. So if you want to kind of talk about yourself and how you got started and
Sure. Well, I'm a stay-at-home wife and mom, but I have a passion for beadwork and making beautiful jewelry. And started about 5.5 years ago with just me sort of seeing if I could do something. The idea that I could hadn't really yet occurred to me. And I wasn't really finding the jewelry that I wanted to see, particularly in the realm of beadwork. And so I just taught myself how to do it. And was really fortunate along the way to have people enjoy it and, get to do this all the time.
how'd you teach yourself how to do that?
Well, I ordered a couple good books. And with beading, once you get the foundations down, when you see new things, new techniques, your brain starts clicking. You're like, oh, I see how that's done. So a couple really good books. There was one YouTube tutorial I watched that was just exquisite. It really, it just sort of sent my creativity bursting, and the way that the woman explained it just made everything come together for me. And then it was really just trying, doing, and getting into making my own patterns and designs.
So all this is your original patterns and whatnot?
Well, yeah, so on the left there, we have a set that was actually for Jay, and it's to honor her French heritage. And the necklace portion, she had found the Celtic bee pendant on her own and sent that over to me. And then I did a Slavic spiral weave necklace with some extra like dagger beads and, meaningful choices in the stones. And then the earrings are bead embroidery, fleur-de-lis, with garnet, aquamarine, and gold seed beads. And I just wanted her to feel regal when she wears this, honoring her French heritage.
Yeah, it definitely looks very regal.
They're breathtaking. They're amazing. Really awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, indeed.
On the right there, this is my spin on the Visby lens pieces found in Gotland. There are several silversmiths out there who make recreations of these pieces that are just exquisite, but they cost as if they are. So this is my spin on those, where I bead bezel the lenses. So it's a lot more cost efficient for folks, but it's also really pretty. And I've done many different types. I take customs on these, so I'd say that the crystal glass lenses with the silver is the most common request, but I've done many different varieties, including with Baltic amber lenses and all different types of gemstones. And so I really, really enjoy those.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
Thank you.
Do you have to put each little silver bit on by hand?
Each little bit. Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
You must have really small hands. That's amazing.
I have very long hands. I'm 6 feet tall.
Wow. Wow. So how long? So this like Visby necklace here,
Mhm.
how long did that take to make then?
Well, I homeschool my daughter, so factor that into this amount of time, but about 2 to 3 days.
So like how many hours is that?
Oh, I'd say about 10,
Okay.
straight through
Oh.
Wait, for one or the whole thing?
for the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good though.
Yeah.
That's insane. I was wondering how you made those when I first saw them. That's
And
very
then
cool.
I just kind of grabbed a few things from your channel. I saw this. I thought it looked pretty cool.
Thank you. This is an earlier piece from several years ago. It's got some snake vertebrae and then some carved bone beads.
Oh,
So this is a little bit
okay.
more, you know, a ritual piece.
Nice.
It's
But it's
actual snake bone in the necklace.
oh yeah, those are vertebrae, and then the larger beads that you see with the red carvings in them, painted carvings, those are bone as well.
Hmm.
As a matter of fact, now I'm looking at it, the red beads are and the black beads, the spacer beads that's all bone.
Wow.
That is really neat.
Right.
Have you? So you said this was an older piece. Like, have you
Yeah.
made any of these recently? Like any of these bone type necklaces recently, or has it just been like this one?
No. When I began doing this, I hadn't yet begun to master any beading techniques yet. But what I did have a knack for and a want to do was bone jewelry and ritual jewelry for people, and that's how I started. So I did almost all that. That was pretty much it for the first year and a half, 2 years, and I've never stopped doing it. I would say it's a little bit more infrequent now. Because I have gotten into beading and been lucky enough that my customers kind of flowed with me with that. But every now and again, I do get the chance to do something really, really meaningful and for a more esoteric purpose for the customer.
Nice. And then you also make necklaces, but also earrings. That's kind of a specialty of yours as well.
Yes, I love making pretty earrings.
Yeah, I've seen many of the women in our sphere get those earrings of yours.
Well, lucky me. I love
Quite.
seeing it.
Yeah, it's quite popular from what I've seen, the people I know. So I also wanted to talk about this because this was something I forget how long ago this was, but you made this like her crown type thing. Is that
Mhm.
what?
That's a Visby necklace, and she just decided to put it on her head, and she started a
Okay.
revolution.
Do you know
Nice.
this? Do you know this lady?
I have spoken with her.
I'm gonna play the video that she made because it's so cool. This let's see. Yeah, so
So beautiful. My goodness.
right. I love
That's
Yeah.
like a that's like a little warm up for the movie that we're about to see.
It sure is.
Yeah,
Hmm.
nice.
yeah, I love that shot. Like, do you know like what country that is? Like
Yeah,
do
she's
you
in Iceland. Hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So you are like you're just yeah, you got like quite the reach I've noticed like for women like all over. Uh
Yeah. I'm rather personable, and I I love my fellow women. And I think that what I'm doing has resonated with them in a way where they can tell how much love I put into it. And so I'm lucky enough to have things in Europe and even New Zealand, Australia. So it's just so neat. Every time I send something overseas, it's just like I can't even believe it. And that Visby piece that she has really looks perfect in Iceland. If I, in the wintry setting, I mean, it was just wonderful to wake up one day and see that video. I couldn't even believe it.
yeah, it's such a just everything about it is so like perfect and cinematic and it feels like it almost like could be a shot from the Northman, you know?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, everything this woman does is beautiful. So
Yeah, but I love that you're you're bringing you got this you're kind of uh, uh you know, you got this feminine space you're creating in this scene and I think that's really awesome. You
well,
know,
thank you so much.
I think we need more feminine energy.
I agree. It's all about that sacred balance.
Exactly, the
And
balance is quite off
it sure is.
right now.
It certainly is.
So I think that's great. I really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Uh, does anybody else got any kind of general questions for
I
Mariana?
do actually. Yeah, I'm curious. Do you practice asatru, or are you? What's your relationship with, say, European pagan?
Sure. Asatru, no. I am a heathen. I'm actually third generation, and I am very lucky that I was brought up that way. I will say, when I was growing up, I never imagined that there would be this resurgence when I grew up,
Hmm.
which is really really neat to see.
Mm,
But I am Slavic, Germanic, and Celtic,
mm,
and I sort of seamlessly flow through all of those in terms
mm,
of my personal beliefs and practices. They're all
mm,
kind of a part of me at the same time. But I,
mm.
I will say I was raised with more of a clearer picture, I guess, of Germanic paganism.
I see. Does it? How does it relate to the artwork that you do?
I I mean, you couldn't separate them. I think it's a direct result of
Right.
that. Yeah, and um, being
Do
able
any of
to
your works have any ritual purpose?
many, many, many of them.
Oh,
Yes.
awesome. That's phenomenal.
Hmm.
That's good to hear.
Most of the bone jewelry, that's what the intention is for.
Really? Okay.
I do a lot of pieces which I call the Cult of Freya pieces.
Hmm.
Um, and those are for women who are looking to connect deeper with Our Lady. And I do quite a few of those, which is really great. One of my favorite things to do. And yeah, there's all sorts of intentions and purposes that people come to me with. As one of my dear friends and customers puts it, it's never just jewelry.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I even without knowing those things, I can see that. I can already feel it just from the work I've seen.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to hear that.
Mm. Well, it seems like I'm gonna have to have you and Jay on my channel for an interview.
That's a
you
good
know,
idea.
get information out more. I think what you're doing is so important. And it seems like why is it taking so long to really get to something like this? So definitely want to support what you're doing.
Thank you. I would love to come on your show.
All right, we'll chat.
All right.
I'll have my people call your people.
All right.
Love it.
Yeah. So is there anything more you want to kind of tell about yourself? Mariana?
I'm not sure how many interesting facts I have for you. Yep, just a mom and wife who loves making jewelry and connecting with people, and I'm a deeply spiritually in tune person, and so I'm very grateful for the little community that I've built, and the wonderful support of artists that I found on Telegram, because I'm only about a year into Telegram. It was all Instagram beforehand. So I'm
And
just
what got you onto Telegram then?
somebody said to me for maybe the 15th time, you should do it. And so I just did it.
And would you say that like Telegram has been your most successful like social media platform?
Well, I think it has the potential to be. Instagram was wonderful, and a lot of those people are here with me on Telegram as well. So that was great. But there's new customer base, new people that I'm meeting, and new women to talk to, and um, I kind of I think I got some fresh eyes on what I'm doing, which was really nice. So I could see it possibly making Instagram obsolete after enough time, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I found Telegram to be like the best social media account or platform for me. I don't know why. Like I can't seem to get much traction on the other ones, but yeah, Telegram has been pretty awesome, and I think it's gonna blow up even more with the Tucker Carlson interview with Pavel Durov.
That's only on Telegram?
What's that?
That's going to be on Telegram.
Well, I mean, he already did it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, but he did an interview with the Telegram guy, so I think it's gonna kind of blow up even more. But anywho, so we can move on to the Northman. You want to tell us about this little drawing of yours? I always force every guest I do to do a little drawing, and this one made me laugh
Well,
a lot.
full disclosure, my daughter drew this for
Oh,
me.
did you?
Yes, she did, and it is
Did
a
your
masterpiece.
Did your daughter watch the movie?
Oh yeah, she's watched the movie. She's
How-
in her teens, so it wasn't
Okay.
wasn't too
Okay.
shocking.
She's internet famous now, you know.
She saw this. We were looking up a couple of little videos about this, just for a refresher before tonight, and in our search on YouTube, this came up. And man, she asked for my phone to take a picture of the TV, so she's feeling really good about this.
She's very proud to have her handiwork on
Yes, and she's
on
actually
YouTube.
she's actually a wonderful artist. This is her just being very, very silly, but I was quite busy, and she helped me out with the doodle. So
Cheater. I guess well, that's fine. It works.
this is far better than any doodle you would have gone for me.
Mm-hmm.
And this was all her idea, was the the words and the
Yes. Oh
the
yeah.
cow. What the fuck, man?
Yeah. The second my daughter saw Jenny's work, it was just like sparks went off.
Oh.
So
Oh, really?
yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm so glad. That made me very happy.
That's right, because you did yeah, you purchased some of, I don't know.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it's my first ever purchase. I was so happy.
It is my honor. I can't wait to get these shitpost cats.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I
I'm
love
doing
those.
packaging too.
I should have put a picture up of those of the cats.
The original
Like,
ones.
yeah, it's like cute little cats, and like it's like saying like go shit yourself, and
Yeah.
I don't know,
I love
the
that.
combination of really cute and just like really kind of like violent or like vulgar. It's really adorable. I like that. I really love that aesthetic.
Well, I'm working on more again, so yay.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. So if you like Jenny's work, are you taking commissions, or are you thinking about taking commissions? What are you?
I don't care. If someone wants something, I'll consider it. It depends on my ability. Because I don't just do the little doodles. There's a couple other things that I've made. It just really depends on what I want to do. I gotta like the look of it to want to do it.
Yeah. But so are you working on more to be sold?
I mean, they can be.
Just general.
Yeah, like
You're just gonna make whatever
yeah.
wherever the
Throw it out there.
wherever the
Yeah.
wind blows, and kind of throw it out there and see who wants to buy it.
Yeah. I didn't want to, sell anybody anything in specific. It's more like, oh, if you like it, I'll give it to you.
All
Yeah,
right.
for money. But yeah.
Nice. All right. So, Mariana, do you want to tell us why you picked this movie to be reviewed?
Well, sure. To start off with, I love this movie. I'm not someone who's easily entertained by movies or TV, and I'm kind of super picky and also easily irritable by by most movies. But
Yeah,
this one is a clear favorite. Um, I s-
Interesting. So, you don't like most movies, you
no,
say?
I do not.
Like, like outside of and I can understand why you would like this one because of your personal beliefs. Well, like outside of the Northman, are there any like, are there any other movies that you like outside of this one?
I I have a movie I like fairly well. It's called Songcatcher. Um, it's
Songcatcher.
it's about Appalachian folk music. And there's a Native American movie I liked a lot when I was a kid. It's called Smoke Signals.
Okay, that was like
Uh,
a res comedy, wasn't it?
it was. I had read the book, and so I enjoyed that one. Um, a classic tale in many ways. And honestly, I'm trying to sit here and think about other movies I really like a lot. I mean, I'd say the other movies I really like a lot are like comedies from when I was a kid, like anything with Chris Farley or like Clifford with Martin Short or, like silly, goofy movies. Um, but in the realm of movies about Northern people and particularly the Viking period of time, I mostly hate them all very much. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I was thinking about because I haven't really watched very many, but there's not really like very many like this that actually like portray
Mhm.
uh heathen, or I don't know what do I call it, pagan, heathen beliefs. What?
Either one's fine. You know, they either term would be applicable, I suppose. But I mean, this one was so beautiful, and so well done. And I had read somewhere that the director wanted this to be a genre buster, where a new bar was set. And if you're going to try to make a movie like this, it's got to be at least this good. And I really appreciate that because a lot of the other things that have come out in the same vein, same genre, just they're really bad and they're hard to watch. Um,
Has there
just
anything been watchable for you like that you didn't hate?
um, well, I mean, I watched all of the Vikings TV series,
But
but
you just kind of like
in
suffered
horror,
through it?
in
Oh, well,
lost
hello?
your audio.
Yeah, we can't hear you if you're talking.
can you hear me now?
Yep, yep.
Okay. I watched Vikings and I like bits of it. But overall, it was a little bit hard for me. I'm very familiar with some of the main characters as they were in actuality in history. Many of them are in my family tree.
Mm.
And so for me, it was a little bit rough.
Like who?
Uh,
Who's in your family tree?
well, there's quite a few. It's interesting because Ragnar, the main character,
So
he
I haven't seen the show.
he was in actuality he was Ragnar Sigurdsson. and he is a many times back great grandfather of mine, as well as his wife um, Kraka, who was Aslog, and Aslog was Aslog Kraka Sigurd's daughter, and she was actually the mother of Ivar the Boneless, and
Okay.
she was the real mother of Bjorn Ironside. So, and also, Rollo was Rollo Ragnvaldsson, and he was from Norway. They were from Denmark, and they lived at completely opposite times. And Rollo's lineage, his one of his grandsons was William the Conqueror. So, and then thus from there was born the Plantagenet dynasty, and all of these people I'm mentioning are in my family tree, and grew up very familiar with them and their stories, and um,
Wow.
so for me, just
You got
like
good blood.
yes, I do. I'm very fortunate.
So did your whole family watch the show?
Well, my parents are long gone, but I've watched bits and pieces of it with my daughter, but again, she's just kind of like, ugh, So they're I enjoyed it on a level. I don't want to sit here and just like bash it, but it was really neat to see beautiful northern people and at least some semblance of these stories from the sagas being
I
told. But
I heard that like towards the end they started introducing some like I don't know, some pause type stuff. Is that true? Like a tranny character or something?
honestly, I don't know if that happened. I guarantee you I blocked it out because I just couldn't even handle it.
No way.
But I'm not sure. But the inaccuracies made it a little bit difficult for me. I'm well too versed on these particular people to just sort of immerse myself in Vikings and get into it.
Sure.
Um,
Can I chime in on this? Because
Oh, absolutely.
the movie that we're about to see, after I saw it in the theater, I was totally intoxicated by it. I had to learn more, and I went and researched a bit on it. So I don't know if you guys know that the film is the contents on the film are historians and not like graphic designers or corporate heads. They're people from museums that saw that single thing on set in this film was built exactly how it was built in those times.
yes,
Right.
that's
And
correct.
Robert Eggers is a major history spurg,
Amazing.
Like
Oh,
every one of his movies, it
this
has to be like
this is
extremely historically
this
accurate as best as he can anyway.
there you go. I just well if if the audience didn't know that, I think that enhances the whole experience of the film like tremendously.
It really does, and they really went to great lengths to research and have really important details and authenticity in a way that we've just not seen yet.
Mhm.
I think we've yet to see um, northern people in this period of time portrayed in any way
Mhm.
as close to authentic as this film.
Was there anything that that wasn't authentic that kind of bugged you?
I mean, listen, there were a couple things, but I really don't want to do the actually thing about the movie. I just really love it, and I think that there's, way more good, way more compliments I have for it than little nitpicks. But yeah, I mean, uh for instance, like ravens, they don't come out at night, but just
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like we're
Interesting.
talking, I'm really getting in there, but
But it was
uh
probably not like a it was like I think the implication was that they're Odin's like familiars or whatever, right?
right. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Emissaries of Odin and his father.
So they wouldn't act necessarily
That's
completely
that's correct.
natural.
That's correct. Yeah, like I'm saying, none of my little nitpicks really matter. I mean, and also this wasn't based on history as it were in a literal sense in terms of like um, how Vikings tried to do it. So it's really based off of the the saga of Amleth that Saxo Germanicus wrote.
Now, had you read
Or I'm sorry,
like
Saxo Grammaticus.
had you read that like before this movie had come out? Like, were you familiar with that tale?
Yeah, very familiar with the tale. Yeah.
Yeah, so that okay, so I'd kind of like to know like how similar is it to the actual like original story?
I mean, it's pretty similar. The differences come in where in the original, where in the movie, the court jester Heimer, in the original telling of the tale, that was Yorick. And they did a little bit,
So
they did that a little bit
his name was
differently.
different,
Yeah, his name was different.
but it's essentially
His
the same character, or is
it
Heinlein like
plays
a different character
kind
in
of
the story?
plays the same role, like the sacred clown.
Okay.
Um, that type of vibe. And then, in the original telling of the tale, Amleth went to England, and then in this
Yeah, so
he
from what
goes
I
to Iceland.
understand, Robert Eggers was sick of seeing uh, Viking stories set in England,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's why he had that changed. But what about like so say like the twist at the end where
Hmm.
it turns out that like his whole revenge that he'd been planning his whole life turned out to be like all like a lie? Was that in
Mm.
the original story, or was that something kind of added to the movie?
I don't think I remember it clearly to answer that properly.
Okay.
I don't think I remember enough.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna ask some of the other people on the panel what they thought of the movie. Rebecca, why don't you tell us a little bit of your thoughts? From what I understand, you had to cover your eyes for a lot of the movie.
Yeah, so I don't usually watch a lot of violent movies. So when my husband found out I was going to watch this, he was like, "You're going to want me to be there so I can tell you when to open your eyes."
Had
So
he seen it already?
yes, he did. He saw it in
Okay,
theaters
so
and
he knew
he'd watched it
exactly.
several times since then. He's a big
Okay.
fan of it. But yeah, and so given that was like the first thing I'd really heard about it, is it's going to be a little bit violent for you. I was a little apprehensive going into it, to be honest. But I actually I thought it was really powerful. Like, to me, the violence was not violence for like a sensational sake or something, which I think you get in movies where it's just gratuitous amounts of violence just to shock the audience. But for this, it really felt like it added to the movie because it was part of the ambiance of what they were trying to create. It fueled that primal feeling that I think they were really trying to get across from a civilization standpoint.
And I never felt like it was the violence was really that like over the top or gratuitous. Like it was definitely brutal, but it didn't feel uh, like way too much, you know.
Well,
I
and
didn't think it was.
right, and like there was the part where he had gone off and joined the wolf cult before he was doing his own like following his fate back to get the revenge. And that was, I felt like, the only part where they were cruel more so than you know, acting in toward revenge, which like that was more vengeance, which avenging, the death of one's father is a matter of honor. I mean, there's a whole thing. I recently started reading the Icelandic sagas, and one of the things it talked about in the intro was that there's this whole duty of revenge where if, any of your family members have been wronged, like the degree of who is supposed to avenge that, and all of these different familial relationships that have to be maintained as a matter of honor, which makes sense in that society. I think you would have to have something like that in that society in order to maintain order. And so I think, where was I going with that?
So you felt like no, that's all right. You felt like the berserkers were like kind of not with that sort of honor bound system, they were kind of actually
Which makes sense. I kind of think if you're in like, okay, I'm not totally familiar with all of the various, historical cults, but are wolf cults historically associated with Fenrir? Mariana, do you know
Odin,
that?
with Odin.
Because in this
Yeah.
case, their wolf cult was associated with Fenrir. And given that Fenrir is a son of Loki, it would make sense that they would be just cruel and violent and not be doing it from a place of honor if
right.
that's the
And
case.
you get like right from like the very first moment you see them, you understand that they are like just kind of a cruel people because they shoot those two random fishermen, like the
Right.
guy and his son,
Which
just for
was
like a laugh, essentially.
yeah, which very much differentiated them, and I think that's important that those were shown as differentiated from the general violence of the movie, which served a purpose of demonstrating like a primalness.
Yeah, the difference in violence that is kind of necessary versus not necessary.
Right.
um yeah,
But I mean, beyond that, I found it fascinating just the way that fate was portrayed, because I feel like so many movies today, a lot of the journey that the hero is on is trying to figure out their fate and figure out who they are. And there's a searching within so many modern stories because we as a people are often so lost. Whereas this story, this man was so rooted in who he was. And, his family tree was such an integral part of who he was that there was
yeah, those
never a
scenes with
question of what should I be doing. It was he knew what he was supposed to be doing. He knew the path that was laid before him. And I found that very interesting,
He
especially
had
contrasted
forgotten.
with
He had forgotten when they were in the land of the Rus, and he was reminded. He was reminded by the Slavic witch. I think he had kind of lost his focus up until that. Probably they didn't show that period of his life, but I have a feeling he was just sort of aimlessly wandering around, pillaging and.
but it was also a period where he had to grow to adulthood and he had to develop those skills and that strength in order to be ready to follow his fate. Because, as a little boy, he wasn't ready for that.
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
and I guess I'd assume that probably most of the people in that berserker pack were also kind of like essentially loner orphan types that had nowhere else to go. I would assume. But I don't know too much like about like those types of berserker. Do you know much about the history of those types of groups of people during that time?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm no expert on the matter, but from what I'm familiar with is, in order to really sort of summon that frenzy, this was an Odinic cult, and kind of invoking the energy of the wolf and the bear was necessary to do what they were doing. Um, and I mean, we know what happened. How history has played out is that they sort of went everywhere doing what you saw. Um, and I will say that the one scene when they're in the Slavic village where they kind of put all the women and children in the house and burn it down. This is not in defense of berserkers, but I will say that I'm not sure that even would have been something that they would have done in that regard. I think that they might have found that dishonorable. There's a difference between killing in the heat of battle or in the heat of conquest, or however you would like to put that, and then when everything's said and done, you've clearly won, you've taken over. I'm not too sure about that. It didn't sit well with me, and again, this is not in defense of psychopathic maniacs. It's just a thought.
Yeah, but you felt that just wasn't necessarily realistic.
Yeah, it kind of, I think it was probably needed to like really hammer it in, like,
But
how
hammer what in exactly? Like I don't know
hammer in
exactly.
how violent or
How ruthless and violent the people that he was with were.
And how he didn't really like fit in there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I felt yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of it was kind of difficult to really root for anybody in the
Oh
movie, to be
yeah.
honest.
I really like that about the movie. You
It
know.
kind of felt like a Martin Scorsese movie set in in Viking times, where it was just like, oh,
Huh.
actually, I hate everybody in this movie.
They had like
different time, different moral codes.
yeah.
You know.
They didn't have like a New York accent, like the kind you need to do that type of work.
Right. All right. Jenny, do you want to tell us what you thought about the movie? Because you just watched it. You were you're a last second film watcher.
Oh gosh, sorry. I had it muted for one moment. I was trying to find a clip because what you guys were talking about. When he was yes, oh yeah, that too though. I did just watch the movie today. That's the second time I've done that now. And then usually what I do is I try to get it at least an hour or two before this, and then I'll look up a bunch of stuff about it. And one thing that I thought was really cool that you guys were just talking about was when he was talking to the Cirrus in the like little chapel area, and the line he said to defeat the like icy river of hate that runs through his veins, like that moment there where he like looked at the carnage he caused and had that moment of like clarity and was like, I need to return, and he cuts his hair off and he brands himself a slave just so he can, this whole plan for revenge. Very, very cool.
Yeah, I
This is a
really
good
like
movie.
that scene with the Cirrus.
Love
Now
that scene.
Bjork.
Bjork. So that is supposed to be like a supernatural type of like person. Was
You
that
know,
the implication, or was that just like a human witch, or what exactly is what
when
you
I
think was going on with that character?
when I first watched this in the theater with my husband, when Bjork appeared on screen, the way that I took it as somebody who is part Polish is that that was Mokosh. That's the visual of it, the way she was speaking, her drop spindle, the whole shebang. It for me, I got this immediate impression of the goddess Mokosh. Now, I have found absolutely nothing that would suggest that that was the intent, or that because she's just sort of written as the Slavic witch or the seeress. But that's how I took it. I mean,
And
as soon as I saw her, it took my breath away.
so who is this goddess? Can you tell us more about her?
Sure. She is a goddess that kind of she's interwoven with fate. She's interwoven with women's work, handiwork, spinning, sewing.
The
Um,
sound of that thing that she was what did you call that?
drop spindle.
Drop spindle, like the sound that was making while he was walking in there and she was talking. That was such a cool sound. Like
Hmm.
it added such a cool like vibe to that scene.
Yeah,
That like
yeah.
whatever that I don't know. Like, does that actually make that noise, or was that kind of like a really over the top sound that
I
they
haven't
added?
tested this theory. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I really like that scene just because of that sound that she keeps making with that drop whatever.
But that Slavic goddess, she is the protector of women and women's work. And for me, visually, that's how I took it. And I have not been able to find anything that would suggest that that was the intent. But I wouldn't be surprised if some sort of inspiration was taken from that. Um, so I don't know.
That makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, especially with her coming in and having that effect on Olga of the birch forest and the birch trees and their connection with Freya.
Okay, and she talks about how that all this is going to lead up to a maiden king,
Hmm.
which is Olga's child. Um, and Olga is Slavic, so it would make sense that it's like a Slavic god that is basically trying to get lead this fate, this story, everything that's going to lead up to this, I guess, kind of a legendary Maiden King. Is that's what she called it, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would make a lot of sense, actually, that it's a Slavic god.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, she was written as Slavic witch. So, and I think, I wonder if any other Slavs
And then like
would.
she like disappears on
Right.
him.
Right. She's obviously,
But I do wonder, like, was this movie supposed to be a kind of and I can't quite figure out if this was supposed to be a movie where you're supposed to debate about whether anything he's seeing is like real.
Well, I didn't take it that way because my life's experiences in the world I live in is a little bit different, I suppose. And, what might seem silly or impossible or not real to others has always been, my reality. So for me, I mean, I kind of took everything on face value. It's not hard to sell me on the Slavic Cirrus or the,
Right. But
Olga of the Birch Forest or,
I'm just not quite entirely sure if that was the director's intention or not, and
that's a good thing to think about. I'm not
because
sure
I'm
either.
wondering about because the one scene in particular that stands out is his scene with the mound dweller, right? The
Mm-hmm.
dragger. So he has that fight, and then like it kind of like cuts back to him in front of the mound dweller, like it never happened. And that scene, I'm like trying to figure out what exactly is going on here. Do you have any idea what might be going on
Yeah.
there? Because yeah,
I mean, I have a little bit of some thoughts on that. I mean, how he, eventually has this battle with the chieftain. The Draugr is, he meets a he witch,
did
and
that trigger you?
well,
Because I know you're. I've seen in
well,
the MWAC chat that is quite a triggering subject for you.
um, well,
When I saw that, I'm like, oh no.
here's the thing. Let me explain. So in the beginning of the movie, when young Amleth and his father are having, his Odinic initiation, right? When that scene is happening, I really appreciated that scene because um, it touches on the secret magic of women. So, King Arvindil says to little Amleth, never seek the secrets of women, but heed them always. And, you can kind of take that little quote there and that's how I feel about it. That's how I was taught about it and raised, and that's my understanding of how things were. And um, when we go forward to when he meets the he witch, this man is practicing feminine magic. He's practicing Scyther. He's wearing women's clothes, um, and he is obviously outcast from any sort of community, from the community. He's sort of alone, gone mad in a cave.
Just kind of a crazy
Um,
person, yeah.
right, kind of a crazy person because a man doing that was highly dishonorable, as considered ergi, and it just was not to be done. So I actually appreciated the way that the movie showed the he witch as kind of off-putting and disgusting, to say the least, and that bringing that up with young Amleth in the very beginning, kind of explaining that, the secret magic of women is for them, and it's not for you to know, but it's wise to heed what they have to say. So
So
I did appreciate that.
So was the guy he met in the cave that told him about the sword, was that a different guy than the person that had led the ritual when he
Yes.
was young? Those were two
Yes.
different characters. Okay.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, the he witch has that guy's head. That's
Yeah.
the head that he has, is Hymer's head. Yeah.
I thought he had the jester's head.
Right.
No?
Yeah,
Yep,
okay,
that's
so
Hymer.
Rebecca was wondering because she thought that, like, the guy who, was originally the Berserker leader.
No, I don't believe so, no.
Yeah, that's a different actor,
I'm
I
sorry,
believe.
I didn't
Yeah.
understand.
She was wondering if the He Witch and the Berserker leader were
Oh, I gotcha.
different characters, yeah.
No,
I
I think Mariana was right. I think Mariana was
Oh.
right in what I was asking.
Oh, you were asking if it was Willem Dafoe? Willem
I didn't
Dafoe
look
was
up
the
who
guy
played
who
what.
Willem
Okay.
Dafoe was the guy who played the Joker character,
Yes, Hymir.
right? And that was the Skull guy.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I was pretty disappointed that Willem Dafoe had such a small role.
I know. I couldn't believe it.
Um, yeah. Okay, so I have to go do something for a minute or two. You guys talk amongst yourself. I'll be back in a little bit.
Okay.
All right, Donald, you can kind of
I was just gonna grab the reins.
give your thoughts on
You're
it.
good. You're good. You're good.
All right, sorry.
Wow. Yeah. Because as I'm listening to your conversation and all the details you're covering, I'm thinking, gosh, I'll have nothing to. No, but I have my own impressions of the film. One of which I think, for me personally, that resonates the strongest is how I don't know how to put this, but how he has this destiny that his entire being is driven towards, and then discovers that he's been deceived by his mother, and the horror of that, and how there's something about fate and that's a kind of a subtext to this entire film, whereby he even leaves his own wife and unborn child jumping off the boat to go
Mhm.
back to the volcano to have the final battle, and of course, in which I won't say the end, but there's just this sense of, I cannot escape my fate. This is my fate, and that's I think a double-edged sword in that it gives him great meaning and great power, but at the same time is a kind of a curse, right? As we see, in certain ways. But and I think that this is what I'm trying to penetrate into: is what is the mythological lesson that is embedded in this story. I don't really remember whether it's a true story or a myth. I did research that, but it just slipped my mind. Regardless, as a work of art, though, what is this film saying about fate? Does any of you have any ideas on that topic?
Do any of you ladies have
Yes,
an idea? Or?
Rebecca.
Well, I thought I thought
No.
that the twist with his mom was exciting. I mean, because
Mm.
when I first read the description, I immediately went to Hamlet because I was not familiar with the older story that it was based upon. And
Oh,
so that was a
okay.
difference from Hamlet.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
but I to me, the twist with the mother
Yeah.
did not negate that he was honor bound to avenge the death of his father.
Mhm.
Because regardless of whether it was motivated by the act of his uncle or the act of his mother,
Mm.
either way, it was a betrayal and a murder of his father.
Sure.
And in that culture, he had an obligation to avenge that. It just expanded who he needed to wreak vengeance against, which
Yeah.
expanded it so that it was not just against his uncle, but he also,
Mhm.
then should take some kind of vengeance against his mom.
Mm. I wonder how much of that was motivation to take back his rightful position as king as well.
Well, I mean, the mother thing was really disturbing, but
Very much so.
it didn't change his fate, because the fact of the matter is Fjolnir still killed his father, and when he was a young boy in that initiation ceremony, it was really imparted into him the code of honor,
Mm.
and that's not something that he was ever able to forget. I mean, I would imagine for that man, hypothetically, if he were to have left with Olga every day of his life, he'd be wanting to go kill Fjolnir.
Yeah.
So, so
I know this feeling. No, but yeah. Hypothetically in Minecraft. But, yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't know how to say it, but essentially that character, his tale, it just struck me on a very primal level, and
Mhm.
it's this to me is what great art does, is that it goes way down into your soul and shakes you up a bit. It kind of grabs roots and gives you a little earthquake in your soul. So I was just, these kinds of things embolden me. They kind of set me on fire, to just be a content developer in this culture that we're in. So, for that reason, I fire for the film. I always, recommend it to people.
Hmm.
I especially liked one of the interviews that I saw with the director, where I can't say, I'm just paraphrasing, but there were producers on set that were, kind of saying, okay, well, why make it like that scene in Lord of the Rings, and he had to continue to kind of like hit him over the head, saying like that's precisely not what we're doing. We're not commercializing this. The heart of this is to be as true as we can to the time period, and I think personally, I don't know how this film flew under the radar, because everything is anti-white out there, like everything.
Hmm.
And to have like literally the escapee, this is an escaped convict from Hollywood or something, where somehow it got out, and it's showing us as ourselves in
Hmm.
stories in our own history. And not only that, but on such a primal level. Um, it's I feel like whites in general are, I don't know how to phrase it, but lost from their roots. Like we've strayed away, we've been led away, and modern man is just a shadow of who he once was, per se. To
Yeah.
look at, yeah, and so that's why films like this, they inspire you, but they also kind of make you angry that you lost a lot of that.
Yeah.
And-
I mean, when my husband and I saw this in the theater, I mean, as we were watching it, we were just awestruck in the truest sense of the word.
Mhm.
There are many times where I'm crying, and I think
Mhm.
that underneath that, at the core level, my tears were from pride. And when we left the theater, I think
Mhm.
we were both standing about 3 inches taller, and so I always recommend this movie, um, because it's visceral and it's beautiful. There's
Mhm.
nothing is sugar coated. There's
Yeah.
no
No, no.
DEI casting. It
Yeah,
it
no,
just is what it is,
I know.
and I
I know.
love it for that.
Yeah, so I mean that's so conduct an investigation. How did this one get under the radar
Under the radar of what? Of
of just the
Hollywood, you think?
anti-white Hollywood establishment?
Well, I think I mean, it seems pretty obvious to me that, like, it got made because it does show it kind of, I don't know, it shows us very brutally, and I don't think they would ever do that with non-whites in modern movies now. But you can get away with it if it's whites, I think. I think that's
For
really
my
kind of the
money, I
main
would say
reason it was able to get made, was because it really does kind of portray us in such a God, it is very dark,
Eric.
It's very dark, it's very brutal, it's very unpleasant, to be honest, and, um, I think they're like, Robert Eggers is a history spurg, and, he is gonna try to make everything as accurate as he can. I don't necessarily think that his intention was to be, like, subversive or whatever.
mm.
Oh,
But I think
Well,
he was able to get funding or whatever for it, because it's just
is that
like,
your
"Oh, here's another." The producers look at it and they're like, "Okay, well, this doesn't portray whites in a good light, so
I found a
that's
Mhm.
lot
fine."
of good in the movie. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm a weirdo, but I found a lot of good in the movie as well. A lot to be proud of.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
like
for sure.
lifts
I
your
mean,
mood.
I definitely like the movie, but I think that, two things can kinda be true at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Um,
oh, I was gonna say one thing I was wondering while watching it, and it's historical accuracy, because everything I'd read about it said they tried to be as accurate as humanly possible, given how little reliable historical reference there are for all things Nordic, I suppose. And one thing I had to wonder too is, when they, for accuracy's sake, a lot of the things about Vikings, they couldn't carry their stories on all the way to now. So in a way, it's like the victor tells history. So I wonder, for the more aggressive, like there's a lot of sexism portrayed in the Viking culture there. So I was wondering, like, was this actuality, or is this just a hyper exaggeration, perhaps, by those over the many hundreds of years less fans of Vikings?
Well, what's an example of what you're talking about?
Oh, like, they would go in and take female slaves and rape
Oh,
them,
no,
and
yeah. I
yeah,
mean, that was of course
yes.
everybody was doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Really,
everybody was doing that. That was, with the thralls. There was
the spoils of war.
yeah,
That's kind of
back in the day, it's a common misconception that these people didn't have morals or ethics. Most certainly did. And it's interesting. This is a timely talk about this movie because, as I sort of navigate Telegram, I'm a witch, and I don't mince words about that. And I run into a lot of ideas that people have about this period of time and the way these people might have thought or believed that I find rather confusing. Um, one of them being, and one of the things I love about this movie is you know, Amleth recognizes Olga as a witch and her power. He doesn't fight with her about it, doesn't argue with her about it. He actually works with her towards his goals. It's a team effort. He
because
has
he has the physical strength and
he
she
has
has
the
the
brawn
mental
and she has
cunning.
the cunning, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And that dynamic, you know, it is wonderful. That's what I have with my husband, and so for me, it's very familiar. But I think that might be forgotten a lot these days. Um,
In certain
and
circles, I
in
would
certain
say.
circles, yeah. And as people try to get into paganism, sometimes, for most people who are coming into paganism and heathenism, it's very recent, and all those years before they were Christian. And it's kind of hard to shake off that Abrahamic programming, that tells them that women were nothing, and that's just not the truth, and it wasn't the truth then, and it shouldn't be the truth now, or you know what I mean. It's really not how northern people interacted with women or behaved with women. That was kind of more It's kind of more of an Abrahamic way of thinking. So in the movie, obviously there's all these horrible things being done to the slaves, to the thralls, but within their own societies, um, I think it was a great time to be a woman. All of the dangers that come from outside of your home existed as they do now, but I think in large part, especially for the wise woman, it was a hell of a better time to live than it is now. Um,
Um,
What
uh,
I also had looked into the theorists. Yeah, they mentioned that those types of women, seeresses and sorceresses, and all these sorts of witch type ladies were very revered and respected heavily in those cultures. So I thought, yeah, as much as the slaves and thralls didn't have the best of the best of the world at the time, women still
right,
had
but
a
there was
pretty good. Yeah, no, they
there was men slaves
yeah.
too.
yeah,
People
But
have it bad no matter what.
right, but so one of the things I'm kind of pointing out is that, like, yeah, this is probably historically accurate about like taking women as your whatever, you know your spoils of war or whatever, but and that may be accurate, and that may have been like what everybody was doing at the same time at that time, but kind of the point of what I'm making about the movie is that they wouldn't, like, Hollywood wouldn't portray non-whites doing that. So
hmm
that's why I'm saying this movie, I think the producers let this movie get away with having an all white cast because they're like, okay, we could kind of reinforce these negative stereotypes in just a cast with all white people.
I agree with that. That's
Yeah.
probably correct.
Yeah, that's kind
I
of the
oh,
point
and
I was kind of getting at.
yeah, and as well as that too, Amleth's mother had a lot of power, especially when she revealed that she was once a slave too. Like, she really worked her way up in the world. She had a lot of power too. I mean, it seemed like she loved Amleth's father, but that she could get this, his brother to turn on him and basically give her a new kingdom and children and stuff. And she she had a lot of power.
Yeah,
So she had it good.
and if you notice in the movie, every time something of importance is happening, a ritual or ceremony, there are women involved.
Mhm.
There are women there, and they're involved, and
Like even like okay, so like the human sacrifice scene. I don't know if we want to talk about that, but like it was like a woman who was gonna human sacrifice
The
Mhm.
soft
the
sacrifice,
other
right?
woman.
Because there was another woman that did get sacrificed for, I can't remember the son's name now. Thorir? I can't remember. He when he died, there was a woman sacrificed.
Right, but I'm
Wasn't that
talking
his
about like
wife?
when
Maybe
no, it was his like slave, I guess. um, but I'm talking about like the like when the priestess and the other guy and the priest. I don't know exactly what they were, but
when she was like bound
had
on the
this
table.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then he goes in and he like disembowels the guy and ties up the girl and frees the girl who was about to get sacrificed. Like I don't know, like is that like that seemed like kind of a little wild, a little
that
like kind of
you
they were
didn't think the weird horse human amalgamation pinned to the side of that building wasn't weird? That was
well,
terrifying.
well, what
Oh
I mean
man.
is portraying the Vikings as doing like human sacrifice. I don't know. Like, I guess I'm not sure about the historical accuracy of that, but that seems like another thing where they're like, okay, yeah, we'll let you have an all white cast if you do this type of thing. But is that like
Nope, and it's
was
said
that
there is
was that
some
something that like
accuracy.
is there some accuracy to doing human sacrifice during that time, or
Yes.
there was?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Yep. Not willy-nilly, but yes, for uh very important reasons. Yes.
Okay.
And normally
I,
the sacrifice would be absolutely willing. It would be an honor. So,
yeah, like the apparently that last one where the woman was singing before she had the dagger, plunged into her. That one, I specifically found that there was apparently an account from some Arabian traveler who had watched a funeral like procession by the Vikings. And yeah, exactly that. She takes it and sings, and then they kill
They do the
her.
bit.
Yeah, but she was part of it. She wasn't crying. She knew what she knew what she was doing.
Yeah, I suppose.
Getting stabbed ritualistically.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's an honor for them. Like, I think
I could
another
have
thing that the
I could
what's
have
his name,
done without that
Eggers,
in the movie, to be honest.
he said that just like Mariana was saying, like for Vikings, like all this mythical stuff was their reality. There was no belief; it just was. Like there wasn't like an agnostic or atheistic Viking. It just that was everything to them. Like people
There's
would
no
become
fedora
bears and
wearing
wolves.
fedora Vikings at the time.
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, everything was that to them. So I guess yeah, going into these sorts of human sacrifices, that's just how it had to be, and they
Mhm.
believed where they would go on towards, which is
Yeah,
Valhalla. I mean,
the gods
women
and
go to
the
Valhalla as well, yes?
you'd have to die in battle, and
Okay.
when people die in battle, Freya gets the first pick, and she takes the honorable fallen, and Odin takes the rest. So,
Oh,
um,
okay.
So what happens to you if you don't die in battle?
you go to hell.
So what does that mean?
Well,
Well,
um,
yeah.
this hell is entirely different from Christian hell. It's kind of a place of quiet respite.
Okay, so like do you get to like chill with your peeps, or do you just like sleep?
I,
Or
I mean, I can't fully attest to this yet,
You
but
gotta die first, I guess.
I'm just like within the context of the belief system, I'm just wondering.
yeah, it's kind of a quiet place. It's not this
Tortured
place of
forever.
right. It's much different. It's mostly believed that like older folk and um, children, that they might go to hell. Um, and as I said, in terms of warriors, there we have Folkvang with Freya, or we have Valhalla with Odin. Um, you know, so there's different afterlives, but the idea of the gods and the afterlives were interwoven with the people always, and they like Jenny was saying, they were sure of it. It wasn't and if it was, it was what it was. And so
Do you mind if I ask, like, do you believe in that particular afterlife?
I do.
Yeah. So
I
do
do.
you think that you're gonna go to hell, the HEL type thing, after you pass on? Is that what you believe?
Um, while that is a possibility, I am a devotee of Freya, and it is not just warriors that go to Folkvang. So,
I apologize if this is too
that's
personal.
okay.
I'm just kind of
It's all
curious
right.
about people's belief systems, but that's
Yeah,
no
my
judgment.
personal belief system would be that I would most likely go to hell or Folkvang.
Volkfang?
Folkvang,
Folkfang.
also called Folkvanger.
So there's a
It's
third one besides Valhalla?
mhm. So Freya presides over Folkvang, and Odin presides over Valhalla, and Hel presides over Hell.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, all right. Let's see here. Is there anything else anybody wanted to cover on the about the film?
I thought it was really gross when his mom kissed him.
I know.
Okay. Yeah, what was that? Was she like actually was she just trying to like fuck with
Just
him? Or was
abusing
she
him,
actually
yeah.
like trying to fuck him? Like what
No.
exactly was going on there?
It was. I think that's maybe perhaps when you're saying Hollywood allowed it to be an all-white cast because
Yes,
of
there's
weird shit
another
like
like
that,
the
weird
incest,
incestuous
yeah.
whatever.
I
But
took
other
it as
than
she
that,
was
yeah.
trying to mess with his head in order
Mhm.
to like get him in a bad
Distract
headspace so
him,
she
and then
could steal the sword.
Mhm.
Because
right,
she goes for the sword.
right,
And
immediately, yeah,
right.
as she was kissing him, right, probably. You're probably right about that. Somebody asks, Ragnarok Rider asks, thoughts on reincarnation from the Nordic perspective. So I don't know if that can go out to whoever wants to talk about that.
I know a lot about reincarnation, but I have no understanding about how it fits into Nordic paganism.
I'm not really super familiar with that concept myself. I'm interested to know more about that.
Can
About
anyone truly know until they're dead, anyways?
That is a very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
A lot
feel
of speculation.
of all the
There
sort
is
of
a
afterlife situations, I feel like reincarnation kind of appeals to me the most, I think, out of all the options
So
presented.
there's a field of study called near-death experiences. You can look it up on YouTube. And they compare thousands of interviews with people who essentially died and came back to life. My father actually had a heart attack and was clinically dead, but they back with fibrillators. It's something that kind of got me interested in this. And there's, I would say roughly 80% of the people say they have the exact same experience. And of course, these are people, that don't know each other. So there's no way to corroborate that. And there's a lot of connection. There's a lot of information about reincarnation related to that field. If you were to look at it scientifically, you might say that all is energy and energy cannot be destroyed. So if you wanted to take that road, you could then say, okay, what's the relationship between consciousness, our life itself? And so it's a pretty deep question. I personally believe in reincarnation. They also have reincarnation hypnosis therapy, where they go back and you pull up past traumas and things. How much you want to believe in this is really depends on how much you want to understand the topic and therefore do your own research. For myself, speaking for myself, I feel that you should approach these kinds of questions kind of like a lawyer or a detective, where you try to gather data that you can, and see if it matches up, if it makes sense enough, so much that you can believe, is this true or it's not. You kind of draw your own conclusion.
I think, I know it's kind of weird to say, but I got really, really sick when I was a little kid. And, near death experiences for me, like, how they talk about being able to look at yourself outside of yourself?
Yes.
Like, yeah, exactly that. It's like, for a second, I don't know, it's like the weirdest thing you could ever think of. Like, how do you can never look at yourself except if you're looking in a mirror. So I was, laying in a chair basically dying because I was so sick. And all of a sudden I'm looking down at myself in this chair. And it felt like before I kind of went back into myself, there was like, whiteness. So yeah, if I don't know, it makes you wonder, like, if it, like, yeah, if your soul's really a thing that can come back in a way.
I have something I can add to this. I've died a few times in my life, and I'm still here, so I do have a story to tell about
You
that.
died, but luckily you got better.
I did. And I was in a place that I do believe is folk fang. And it was kind of like the type of beauty of the Alps, but times 50. Like just the most glorious mountains, the most glorious fields of flowers. And yeah, I had a real experience with that. That also included, speaking with Our Lady and the understanding that I had to come back for my daughter. So for me, I do have, I am sure. I guess I can say I'm not used to talking about this
Yes.
with people, but I will share that with you. So the question of an afterlife, there is no question for me.
Well, that's nice to know. I never really think too much about the afterlife or life after death because it's a scary thing, and so I try not to think about it. But yeah, hopefully there is something.
Man, I wish my near death experience was cooler. I just saw myself sitting in a shitty chair. I wish I saw like beautiful fields and all that.
Oh boy. Rebecca, have you died and came back?
I have not.
Oh man.
That was the coolest question ever, right there.
Well, it seems everybody on this stream has died and came back except for me. So,
Well, I mean, obviously, I can't say that I died for certain or whatever the hell happened there. I guess it's near death experience in my case because I wasn't at a
Astral
hospital or
projection.
anything.
Astral projection. we call it.
Yeah, I guess as a 7-year-old child, I got so ill, I figured I should just go into space. Let's just leave the sick body for a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I did get better after. It didn't die, so maybe it helped.
yeah. Rebecca, so like, is this like the most brutal movie you've seen then, or have you seen other movies like this?
I mean, I can't think offhand of other movies that I've watched that were very brutal because that's typically not something that I go for. But
Right.
I probably have. I just can't think of them offhand.
Right. Well, I'm sorry for forcing you to watch this, but I'm glad you here.
No, I enjoyed the experience. I mean, it was a particularly interesting because, as I mentioned, I have recently picked up a compilation of the Icelandic sagas. And so to see a visual representation of something that I have started reading about, I found very interesting. And I do think that it was very well done. So I enjoyed it.
Is the Amaleth story in that collection?
It is not. The Amlet story is not one of the Icelandic sagas. What we have is from, what is his name? Saxo Grammaticus, and he's a Danish historian. And that was written after the Icelandic sagas, but they think that it was based on a lost saga, is my understanding. a lost Icelandic saga.
The Amlotha saga. Yeah.
Okay.
I just realized Hamlet, scrambled up as Amleth. Oh, oh no! Now I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god! I'm
That
a
Shakespeare's
fool.
clever.
I looked at Amleth Hamlet. And I'm like, wait, hold on. He just moved the H. Oh, oh my goodness! No wonder it's like direct inspiration. No, he stole it. What a loser! Oh, also, to be honest, I didn't really like in the beginning when the kid farted.
I thought you would have loved that. That seems like the type of scene that you would love, though.
That's actually a
Since
very
you're
historically
pretty
accurate
used to
part.
that.
I don't know. Like, it's kind of like when, when my daughter crawls around on the ground and acts like a dog and stuff. I'm like, you're a person. Don't be a dog. So when I saw them being
What was exactly what was up with that? Like, is
Well,
that was
there's a
that
lot of
he's a
flatulent
man.
humor in the old stories.
is
That was,
there?
yeah, for sure. That was actually a very
the more things
historically
change, the
accurate
more
part.
they stay the same.
Yep.
One of
Is-
my
is-
favorite scenes from the movie was when he dove off the boat and he left Olga there. And she had that super powerful scene where
Right,
she
that's-
said those
that's
one
powerful words, and there was the pickup of the wind. To me, that was one of the coolest scenes in the movie
Right.
because it just showed what a powerful person she was.
When I watched
Yeah.
that first in theaters, that was definitely the scene that stood out to me the most.
That was
I
beautiful.
remember, like, I remember kind of being like not necessarily that impressed the first time I watched it, but the more times I watch it, the more like I discover about it. There's actually like there's so many layers. There actually is a lot of layers to it and stuff. It seems very kind of simple uh on the surface, but yeah, it is quite a layered cinematic experience.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I had watched it like I don't know, almost a month ago when you had first mentioned that this was going to be something, and then I rewatched it today, and I feel like I got so much more out of it the second time, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, and even like the third time I watched it, I was like catching more stuff. Like the sword, like he could only pull it out at night. For some
Mhm.
reason I completely missed that until the third time I watched it. But like and then like he was like about to kill the what's the
Uncle. His
uncle.
uncle.
But he couldn't pull out the sword. He was like
That's right.
and
Yeah,
then and then like the camera like goes up and you see like dawn has just started. I was like, oh wow, that's like a
Having specific
little-
conditions to retrieve a magical sword is very accurate to the sagas. So that was interesting to see how he was told he could only use the sword in the dark of night or at the gates of hell.
So this is
So-
definitely a movie that you need to watch with subtitles. Like all Robert Egger movies, you have to watch with subtitles. And I think I got a lot more understanding, like things like the thing with the sword. Have you seen Robert Egger's previous movies?
I've seen The Witch.
I watched that movie in theaters and like I almost walked out because I literally couldn't understand anything anybody was saying. Between the heavy accents and just like the weird old timey dialogue, it was like in a different language and I had no idea what was going on. But once you watch it with subtitles, and the same thing with The Lighthouse, that's one you definitely have to watch with subtitles. And then this one also
Film. It's
have to watch with subtitles. But yeah, sorry, what were you saying?
I just said the lighthouse is an amazing. You do feel like you lost a piece of your soul at the end of it, though. But it's still aesthetically amazing.
Yeah, I think that might be my favorite Robert Eggers movie, just because the dialogue is just so fantastic in it.
Oh my god, yeah, incredible.
I have not seen either because I apparently don't watch movies other people
You
watch.
just watch baby
ever.
cartoons.
No! Don't disrespect my taste, please. Allison was gonna watch Atlantis. I've seen that one 100 times.
No, I like some cartoons sometimes, you know.
Yeah, okay.
I have a wide variety of tastes that I like. I can watch baby cartoons and I can watch, you know, adult type movies.
Yeah, okay.
What movie did you say you were gonna pick, Jenny? If you Pacific Rim. Oh my god.
I love that movie.
Oh my god. I hated that movie.
No, it's so good. I love Big Monster.
The spooky spook monsters. Yeah.
Yes, they make really cool sounds. I like that. It's my favorite part.
Yeah. So, should we start kind of going around giving our sort of last thoughts on the movie then?
All right.
Up to you.
Or do you guys want to keep talking, or what do you think? We've been here an hour and a half, so might as well kind of start giving our
Right.
last thoughts. Jenny.
Oh, God. I have the least nuanced thoughts on this. I don't know. For having watched it a couple hours ago, I thought it was pretty good. The ending, I you know what? None of us really talked about the ending at all. Like at
That's
all.
true.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So the ending, well, okay, which ending? Like when they're fighting naked in a volcano?
Yes.
I'm like, this okay. That was, to me, that was like, okay, this is silly. This is just silly.
The gates of hell.
I didn't think it was silly. It just stressed me out. Like they stepped over that little like lava flow
Like it
stream
weren't no
thing,
thing.
and I was so scared. I was like, "Oh my god, it must hurt. It just hurts to be there right now." I was also really mad because Amleth went into that fight with like it was just so unfair. He'd gotten stabbed like 30 times already. Fuck that. That was so unfair. Should have given it like a couple weeks or something. I was so mad.
I was just not like, that last final fight just was not very compelling to me. Like, I don't know, like for whatever reason,
Nobody wins.
Yeah, that too. Very dissatisfying. I guess he wins because he gets to go to Valhalla, but does his uncle too? They both died in battle.
Well, it's interesting because the uncle was obviously a follower of Freyr, whereas Amleth and his father were obviously Odinic. And it's interesting, Jenny, when you brought up the weird horse thing.
Yes.
For the way I took that was, the horse representing Sleipnir, or Odin's horse, and then the horse human structure kind of showing the play for dominance between Odin and Freyr. That's kind of the way I took that. I mean, I'm not.
I mean, like, so most of what I know about pagan culture comes from like the Marvel movies. Like, aren't they married?
What?
Odin and Freya? Aren't they?
I meant Freyr. Freya's brother Freyr.
Oh, okay.
They're different.
And Odin is married to Frigga.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So are Odin and Freyr? So that's Frigga's brother, you said?
No, Frigga and Freya are separate.
Okay. So Frey. Oh, jeez, Louise.
Wolf Shield's gonna need a family tree.
Yeah.
I loved the family
okay, was
tree.
Freya or Frigga or whatever, were they in the Marvel movies?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
I'm gonna go with, if they were, it was still inaccurate, so not helpful.
Okay. Fair enough.
But back to the family tree, I really loved seeing that. That's one of the parts I absolutely cried watching. I just thought it was really beautiful.
It's such a beautiful, just cinematically,
Mhm.
like really cool shot, and how it kept like playing into the story.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cult of Odin is very hereditary. It's the king line. So, back in the days, if you wanted to be king, you had to have Odin in your family tree. So to see that visual representation, it really, really struck me deeply, and I thought it was quite beautiful.
Yeah, and yeah, just some of the ways that they portrayed some of the. I mean, like, does it offend you if I say mythological? Like what? Like
It can
what?
be for you, but it's not for me.
Right. Like, what would be the right term I should use?
um, I don't know. For me, Odin is in my family tree.
Right.
So
Some of
for
the I'll just say supernatural elements.
sure,
Like the Valkyrie. That was, yeah, like that one moment in the
so beautiful,
middle of the movie where the horse goes off the edge. That is such a freaking
S-
cool shot.
striking, beautiful scene.
And then that
Really
one,
enjoyed that.
and then like the little like after hit the crows peck the rope, and then you just see, oh, that was Odin there, I assume,
Yes,
right?
that was Odin.
That was
Hmm.
really cool.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was really neat.
But just the way, yeah, it added so much to it. Just those little moments like that added so much, like, to the cinematic experience.
Hmm.
You kind of wanted more, but I felt like his restraint, I guess, was kind of made it better, probably.
Yeah, I actually liked how brief the visual of Odin was. Um, how for me it really just like it struck me really quick, like you know what I mean, and then as quick as he appeared, he was gone. Um, I did like that a lot.
I was just really moved by how aesthetic the whole thing was. It's such a
Hmm.
beautifully made film. The acting is extraordinary. The casting is incredible. The sets are off the charts. The flow of it, little gotcha moment of his mom, showing that she betrayed him, and
Such a
then
fantastic twist. Like, I've never seen anything
yeah,
like that in a movie before.
the whole
That
thing
kind
is
of twist.
totally Shakespearean. So I don't know. I just can't recommend it enough.
Hmm.
Rebecca, do you have any sort of final thoughts on it then?
I think I've said a lot of my thoughts. I agree. I think it was a beautiful film. It made me want to go to Iceland.
Yeah.
um, and I don't know about like, but the ending scene, for me, the ending scene really brought to mind Beowulf, with Beowulf killing the dragon and the dragon also killing him, and that like mutual death is what it reminded
Hmm.
me of. So,
Same.
so
It's really cool that you guys have such nuanced opinions and thoughts on this. I wish I too could feel
Well, I'm
and
kind of with you.
understand as you.
See, I'm kind, yeah, I'm just a big dummy, so like
No! I mean, I'm
so
just
I
like,
have
hey,
no,
when the kid
nuanced
farted, I
opinions,
didn't
but-
like that.
I'm like vibing with your opinions on it,
Ah.
His dad burped real good though. That was a good one. That was
Okay,
cool.
were you disappointed by the lack of piggy testicles in the movie?
No! That wasn't even a thought. That was just a fun fact about Pride and Prejudice.
Yes, in our last
Yes.
our last review about Pride and Prejudice, she just started talking about the piggy testicles.
I didn't just start talking about them.
And I keep bringing it up because it's just so random and funny. But anyway,
it was really cool. I liked that movie. Like I said, the ending made me a little bit upset because I don't like not getting my happy ending, so to speak. I was also very mad at him when he left, Olga. Like, I get it, he kind of had to, but like, she's gonna have the babies all alone.
Yeah, it kind of
Darn.
really shows the difference between men and women. You know, everything that Olga did was out of love, and everything and on the surface, it might have seemed, that what Amleth was doing was for love for his family, but it wasn't. It was all for hate and
Well, I think
vengeance
that
and
I mean, he said he had to choose
Yeah.
between love for his
Mhm.
kin and hate for his
kindness
enemy,
for his skin. Yeah.
and then he said he chose both.
Yeah.
I d
Yeah.
and
Which
I feel like that was supposed to be like a genuine moment, you know? I
and
don't
I
think
and I
agree.
Oh,
and I took that as true, because in my mind, given how important honor and revenge was in that culture, and then how you
Mhm.
had to avenge in order to maintain honor for yourself and your lineage, discovering that he had lineage and ensured that he had to protect them by eliminating that threat, because I think his
Yes.
uncle would have come after him after he killed his uncle's eldest son. I think his uncle for sure would have come after him.
Absolutely. I mean, he really did what he had to do, you know?
and
Um,
thinking about it, the seeress said he wouldn't have the choice between the love for his kin or the hatred for his enemy. But when he was about to go into the fight, he said he was going to cut the thread of fate, and just like you said, Rebecca, he did choose both. He did do both. He cut the thread of fate, which was that he couldn't do both. So in a
mhm.
way, he protected his, he did it for the love of his kin, and as well ended his revenge. He finally got it.
Yeah.
So he did cut the thread of fate, which I guess by cutting the thread of fate, that's probably why he also, was in a way punished and died in that same fight. So he got everything and also got nothing.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
Very cool.
you had a deep thought there, Jenny.
Well done.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah, only because you guys are talking about it.
Um, yeah, okay. So do you want to give your last thoughts on the movie then, Witch Mother?
Just love it. Wonderful movie. Visually stunning, and it's not a happy fun time movie in the least, but I
Yeah,
really
it's kind of a movie that I don't recommend to people.
I
Like,
recommend it
I
if
have never
you're okay.
recommended it to anybody.
If you've ever read and enjoyed the sagas, or you have an interest in that period of time, or I highly recommend it.
Well, for like, I guess the more normie type people I know in my life, I don't know, for whatever reason, I haven't sort of forced them to watch it, like my cousin or whatever. But I like the movie. It's just, God, I mean, I don't know. You could have sanitized a little bit of the history, I feel. It just went just a little too overboard, I think, in a few spots. But
That's why I liked it, to be honest with you,
yeah,
is because it was visceral. It was,
Yeah, I think it's being unapologetic was
mhm.
its greatest. I mean, the truth. I don't know. I mean, isn't there enough movies out there that help us escape reality? You can't, that we can look at it directly in the eyes. Of course, it was very hard to watch in places. I'm not a fan of gore, but I recognize it within the context of the story, and I thought it, as much as I looking at that kind of stuff, it still brought like incredible power and meaning to it. So it's acceptable.
I have a question about the fox, that black fox. That
Mm.
seemed like he was kind of like sentient. Like, was there like a meaning behind that? Was that like a avatar for another god, or do you guys know what was going on with that?
Nothing's coming to mind. It wasn't the fox the one that led him to the he witch.
I believe
Yes.
so.
Well, then I would honestly sort of take that perhaps as a trickster spirit.
And it was also making like all the dogs go crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sure about that at all. But I kind of, when I saw it, I just thought of it maybe as a trickster spirit, the type of unsavory type of spirit that would do the bidding for a he witch.
All righty. Well, thank you, everybody.
Oh,
What was that,
I
Jenny?
was just gonna say, I guess that the fox would be an extension of Hymir, right? Like, because when he goes to see the he witch, he's like, Amleth goes, "Did our hen eating friend tell you of me?" And he says, "No,
Mm.
one much more talkative." And then he brings out the head. So perhaps, like Odin with
Oh,
the
yeah.
ravens. Yeah, like so maybe it's his spirit animal sort of deal.
You thought
Finding Amleth.
that was
I'm just saying
like
maybe.
William Defoe's character? That was like his.
Yeah, like his like totem animal, so to speak.
Interesting. Was there? I wonder if there was any sort of like uh uh, setup for that earlier, because he's like wearing some type of animal, um,
Wolf.
a wolf.
Hmm.
So, I wonder that maybe there is a connection there.
I'm not sure. I might be missing something, right? But I'm really not sure.
Yeah. Huh. Alrighty. Well, thank you everybody for joining. Had a great time with you all. Why don't you guys go around and tell the audience like what you guys are working on or what you got coming up or whatever. We can start with well, we'll start with Witch Mother this time, and then
Yes.
we'll go around to Jenny.
All right. Well, first of all, it was really nice talking with you all, and I appreciate you having me on. And I'm really sorry I picked a movie that most of you hated.
No. I like the movie a lot. Like
Yeah.
I've watched it 3 times,
Okay,
and
good.
and I enjoy it more every time. It's just kind of a movie that I don't necessarily like. Like I think most people in my life probably would not. It would be probably like too brutal for them.
Well,
But but
no,
I do definitely enjoy the movie a lot.
oh, good. Well, it was a pleasure talking about it with y'all, and you can find me on Telegram or
Just
Instagram, The Witch Mother, and just search me up.
Yep,
And
and the link is in the description box for
Mhm.
it's t.me esoteric handicraft. Which
Yes, and if you follow along over there, you can see custom pieces that I make for people, and you can kind of see my work and musings, and it'd be a pleasure to have you.
And Rebecca.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say that I was really excited to hear from you, Mariana, and to get your perspective on the movie, because I very much respect your opinion as a heathen.
Thank you.
I've really enjoyed following your channel and seeing the work that you do and the things that you share. So I enjoyed getting your perspective on that.
Thank you very much. I love your channel. I just
thank
love
you.
it. It's so much beauty and loveliness. And
Thank-
I by no means am an expert on anything here, but I am a heathen and I love the Northman. So thank you for talking about it with me.
Absolutely. And I think you have more generational experience than most of the heathens that I've had any
Yeah.
interaction with, for sure.
Yeah, you definitely brought like you added a lot of like depth to the movie for me. Like on the 4th time I watch it, I'm gonna, see a lot even more thanks to your analysis.
Good.
But yes, Rebecca is the owner of the Higher Ideals channel.
Oh, yeah. I run a channel called Higher Ideals on Telegram, and I just share things that make me happy.
Nice.
And it makes me happy. Every post you do is just fantastic.
Thanks.
And that also is in the description. And then Donald Kent, what are you up to?
All right. So Donald Kent Art is my brand, and you can go to kent-art.weebly.com. You can see my work there. I have a pretty lively YouTube channel. If you look up Donald Kent Art on YouTube, you'll see several shows that I've done in the past. The Imperium Art series. I have a live comics art stream that I do. Things I do is comic book illustration. Every Monday around 1 p.m. East Coast time, I do a show with Paul Patriart in UK that's Patriotic Art Live. So we actually do a poll every week about what people want to see, and then we'll do some work on that theme. And so Paul is associated with Mark Collette and the Patriotic Alternative community in the UK. And yeah, it's just working on my art. I'm trying to get back into writing and recording music. That's a lot harder than just drawing on paper, involving technology and time and people, etc. But hoping to get that off the road sometime soon. And just happy to join cool shows like this and meet cool people and new things. So yeah, look me up on YouTube. We've got some cool stuff coming down the line.
Yeah, thank you for joining last minute.
Indeed. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. I figured I need to have another guy
Get a little
talk
balance
about
here,
the
right?
Northman.
Yes.
I'm all about balance, you know.
Yes, yes. Very good. Very good.
And Jennifer.
Okay. I don't know. I'm not nearly as prolific, I suppose, as any of these other three. Like, the litter box. The litter box is a whole 18 people on it now. And that's pretty cool. I like that. But
Jenny,
yeah, I don't know.
Jenny, your work is incredible.
Ah,
I just
you.
want you to know that. I mean, the kitties are
I-
super fun, but that's not giving the scope of her talent.
oh.
I've seen a piece on her channel that just blew me away. So
Yeah, she like won't accept that she's like actually talented. Like I keep trying to tell her that, and she's always like brushing off or whatever. But she actually is very talented, and I'm excited to see.
Still, yeah, I don't want to say I'm still learning, but I'm getting better. I've only been embroidering for maybe a year and a couple months now.
wow,
So, yeah, I'm trying.
it's incredible.
Well, thank you. I figure being a bit of an autistic perfectionist, it really helps. Like tiny details and fine lines, I'm all about that.
But I love that. I love that, like the litter box, like the name that you picked. Because I think we just need that kind of like fun silliness.
Thank you.
I think that we need all types. And I love the vibe that each one of you ladies is bringing with your Telegram channels. You each got like your
Aw.
own sort of specific vibe, and it's very distinct, and just I love how each one is so unique, and just kind of adding to the tapestry of the scene.
Thank you. Yeah, I think after watching this movie, especially like that, there was that one tapestry that Amleth had stumbled upon when he was like in the laundry room with all the like his family tapestry, I believe, and it's kind of inspired me. I think I'm gonna look into some old Nordic embroidery pieces and see if I can, imitate any of those. They're all gonna be huge, unfortunately, but I think it'll be really exciting to put that down myself.
Like your own family tree, you're saying?
Wow, what a great idea.
Yeah, it's just something like that, perhaps. But I was looking at something that the Eggers had
You should
looked
try
at
to
himself.
make Witch Mother's family tree. That'll be like a mile long. Go all the
I'm
way
sure
back
it
to
would be.
Ragnar.
I'm very blessed to have meticulously kept trees, and I don't think you have time on Earth to do what I know of.
Sorry, Jenny, I interrupted you.
Oh, hey, it's totally fine. But yeah, Edgar said he that one Viking ship that was very well kept, the Osberg. Yeah, they found tapestry pieces in there, and I was thinking of recreating some of those too, because they only have the
Oh.
fragments. So maybe trying to make the
Fill
fragments
in.
and finish them off. Yeah,
Oh wow,
that'll be
that's a
exciting.
very
I
interesting
love line work.
idea.
It's so fun. It hurts
That's
my
a-
fingers so good.
Do you? Yeah, you were complaining about that. Like, do you have?
Yeah.
Is there like little protective gloves that embroider?
I
Like,
just put band-aids all over my fingers.
oh boy,
Yeah.
there's like little protective gloves you can. That's just for your fingers. You can buy for when you're putting Legos together.
Oh my
Oh, you mean the
goodness.
little finger condoms? No, thank you.
Yeah, finger condoms. You wouldn't want
I'd
to use
rather not.
condoms?
I know there's
When
like gloves and stuff, but
when the needle hits you, it reminds you that you're alive.
oh man, and it
You know, it's
hits.
actually, there's this like off-brand Lego company that actually like the finger condoms come with the the Lego set that you buy.
Oh, well, that's a good little deal there. But yeah,
But
arguably, yeah.
like
Oh,
Mariana said, it's like the pain of the Legos makes you feel alive,
the pain.
Well, that's not exactly what that's what I'm just adding to what you said.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Legoing so hard it hurts.
Yeah, I sent a
I can't.
picture to Mariana. I was putting together
Mhm.
a Viking Village Lego set, and I was listening to the Northman soundtrack while I was doing that.
That
We
was
didn't talk
very
about the
cool.
soundtrack to this movie. It is so good.
Lovely.
Yes.
It's like
Mhm.
one of the best soundtracks in for any movie in years.
Yes, I enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
And
It
your
was
Viking
all
village was awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. All righty. Well, thank you all for joining once again.
All
We
right,
had a
thanks.
nice cozy time.
Thanks for having me.
Me too.
Go see the
What was that?
movie.
Yeah.
No, seriously, go see the movie.
Yes, good.
I feel like most people in our scene did see it. It was kind of like a made quite the splash in our, sort of pro-white scene. And it was quite
Makes
dividing
sense.
also. But
Hmm.
I think that overall it's definitely worth a watch.
I would agree. For having seen it a couple hours ago and having no idea about any of it, it was worth it. It was well worth my time.
All righty. Well, as they say in Canada, peace out.
Peace out.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye bye.